Hello and welcome to another episode of Google's SEO Office Hours. In these videos, we aim to answer your questions around SEO and Google search. These questions were submitted using the forum link below over the past month. To answer them, we have folks from Google's search quality team. Joining us today are Martin, Gary, and me, John. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. Shimmy asks, "Hi there. I am having an issue with having my website appear on Google. And this is the site, and they specify a URL. Hi Shimmy, I took a look at your website. Unfortunately, when Googlebot crawls the site with a smartphone user agent, the site returns a 403 HTTP status code. This tells us that there is nothing to index, so we don't index anything. To check that, you can use Google Search Console's URL inspection tool."
Hi, I'm Gary from the search team. Someone's asking, what is less harmful, having millions of 404 error pages or millions of 301 redirects where sold product pages redirect to the parent listing page? 404s are completely harmless, and so are 301s. You need to decide what's better for the specific scenario that you are trying to solve for, and just fly with that.
Xenia is asking, what URL format and declared canonical is the most optimal for an ecom site's category pages to get indexed? Would it depend on CSR or SSR? Thanks for the question, Xenia. Canonicalization looks at the recommendation of the site owner through the link rel canonical tag, as well as how well a URL is linked from other places on the web, and a bunch of other aspects. If you canonicalize a shorter URL, that's great. If you can't, that is not a problem. So you're pretty free in choosing what you want to canonicalize. You can build client-side rendered applications in many different ways, supporting shorter URLs, but none of this impacts indexing, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Also, there's no difference in canonicalization for client-side rendered apps or server-side rendered apps.
My search results only show prices in US dollars. When I test with the help of the search results, price currency remains the same everywhere, even though my site shows other currencies. Even if I'm connected to VPN, I still have the same issue. Well, thanks for providing a sample page. I took a look, and your website seems to change the currency and price depending on where the user is from. Since we mostly crawl from the US, this means that we just see the price as you'd show it to users there, which is in US dollars. To show multiple currencies in search, you need to have separate URLs per currency and show the price in that currency to all users of that page.
Gwendolyn is asking, I purchased a domain name for $12 a year. I tested it, and it comes up with a 404 error. So for your domain to show up in Google search results, it will need to be hosted by a hosting company. That can be even something like WordPress.com or Wix.com or Blogger.com, whatever you like, where you associate your domain name with a location of your content, and then you can start publishing content. Then once you published high quality content and people find it, then so will Google eventually.
Louisa is asking, Google selects incorrect canonical URLs from another country domain according to Google Search Console. Although an Hreflang attribute is correctly assigned, how can this problem be avoided? That's a really good question. Thanks, Louisa. Canonicalization and Hreflang are intertwined but slightly different concepts. With Hreflang, you basically told Google, these pages are the same but in different languages and/or regions. Canonicalization then makes a decision on which one to be the main URL in our index. And if you create a group of pages with roughly the same content but in different languages or for different regions, canonicalization will still pick a main URL, but other URLs can and will show up in the search results depending on the user's language and region. In your specific example, users in Germany are likely to see the .de domain even if the .at or .ch domain is selected as the canonical. What makes this a bit trickier is that Austrian and German pages probably are very, very similar in their content, so this might not always work 100%. So it is a good idea to let people choose which region they prefer to look at, should the selection be off?
Mohammed asks, when I tried to search for my website on Google, I found many links which were written in Chinese, and now I want to delete those links permanently. Well, search reflects what websites publicly show users. If they're links from Chinese language websites which are publicly accessible, which allow crawling and indexing, then Google may pick those up. Using the disavow links tool can tell Google that you don't want them taken into account for ranking, but it won't remove them from the web or from our systems. Having links from websites in other languages is perfectly fine. And assuming these links are random spammy links that you just don't care about, you don't need to do anything with them. You can just ignore them.
Someone's asking, how do I change my website address from old domain to just new domain? Fortunately, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of guides on the internet how to do a site move. Even we have a guide about how to do site migrations, and you can check it out on developers.google.com/search.
Someone asks us, how can the content in a product page be unique when different sellers offer the exact same product? That's a pretty legitimate question. And I think to be unique, you should and can offer your own perspective, a genuine review or test you did of the product or things you found to be useful to know about the product outside of the default product text and specifications issued by the manufacturer, for example.
Raina asks, how can we separate the report on Google Search Console based on this subdomain? Well, yes, you can do this. You can verify subdomains in Search Console. You can also verify subdirectories there. If you have the domain verified, then you can just add those subsections without needing to do anything special for verification. And as with all new websites in Search Console, depending on the report, it might take a few days for data to start appearing.
Can a big amount of 404 pages in Google Search Console lead to negative effects of rankings of normal status 200 pages? Well, no.
Siamak Ahadi is asking, no longer in Google Discover, what to do to come back? Well, Discover is an organic feature that goes with the demand and habits of users. So there's no easy answer on how to bring Discover traffic back. Generally, content that is indexed and meets our content guidelines can and will be included in Discover. But as Discover traffic is hard to predict and, will ebb and flow, so there's not that much you can do to depend on it.
Shai Habur asks, I hope I got your name right, what is a schema type for an affiliate site? First off, affiliate sites are fine. But making sure that your website provides helpful, user-first content is the foundation you should be building on. There's no special structured data that you can use to signal that a website is an affiliate of another website. It's fine to monetize your website with affiliate links. Our guidance is to label these affiliate links accordingly using either rel equals nofollow or rel equals sponsored, so that search engines know that they're affiliate links.
Someone's asking, bonjour, je ne sais pas comment créer un bon robots.txt. Or in English, hi, how do I create a good robots.txt? Well, there's no general good or generic good robots.txt. Good robots.txt fits your specific needs. Basically, it is whatever you need it to be. For example, you might not want to allow crawling your internal search results, which is a good thing, or you want to allow crawling a specific JavaScript file. It all depends on your website and how it's set up. We do have documentation about how to create robots.txt files in general on developers.google.com/search. Perhaps you want to check it out.
Geoffrey is asking, can you explain how Google uses quality raters to review and rate sites? Does it only happen after a penalty, or is it routine for quality raters to review your site? Thanks for the question, Geoffrey. Quality raters technically do look at individual websites, but don't change the live rating. We use these responses on a regular basis from these raters to evaluate changes, but they don't directly impact how our search results are ranked. If you want to learn more about the quality raters and how their process looks like, you can learn more about this at goo.gle/quality-raters.
Robin asks, our website went through a site migration about a year ago. To this day, Search Console still shows us about 1 million pages with a redirect. Is there anything we can or should do? This can be perfectly normal. Google systems sometimes like to remember old URLs for a very long time. That's not a sign of a problem as long as these older URLs are still redirecting. You don't need to get them out of Google's memory, and you generally can't do that anyway. Over time, they generally drop out step by step. Any recent performance change that you might be seeing in search would be unrelated to the older site move.
Eugene is asking, my website domain is not showing when you search on Google. Why? Thank you for providing your domain name, and I looked at it. I looked at your website, and I strongly suggest that you verify it in Search Console and look for hints there. It's probably an easy fix once you're in your Search Console account.
Amanda is asking, our domain is used only for email accounts. How can I stop it appearing in Google search results? Well, if you're only using it for emails, then you don't really have content that could show up in search results. If you care about Googlebot not making any requests to your domain, then you can use a robots.txt file to block it from accessing any URL on your domain. That, however, does not necessarily prevent the pages from showing up in search results. To do that, you'd have to use a noindex tag or HTTP header set to noindex. If you don't even have any website on the domain, and you just use it for email, then again, there's nothing for Googlebot to see in the first place, and that is nothing that could show up in search results anyway.
Potier asks, and I hope I got your name right, sorry. Hello. In Search Console, my website is displayed to be crawled by the Googlebot desktop. I would like to know, if possible, what is preventing the migration of my website to the mobile index? Well, most likely, your website is already in mobile-first indexing. To double-check, you can go to the crawl stats in Search Console and check the crawler types mentioned there. If the smartphone Googlebot is the most common crawler type, then you're all set. Essentially, all sites are being crawled and indexed with their mobile versions now. The handful of ones which are only crawled with a desktop crawler are those which essentially do not work at all with mobile devices.
VT is asking, could a query string in Hreflang give mixed signals to Google in any way? And then there's an example for an Hreflang annotation. Well, thank you for the easy question. This shouldn't cause big issues at all. I can't promise it won't cause issues at all, though, because you need to be consistent generally with these kind of things. Otherwise, you might get some canonicalization surprises.
Somnat Halder is asking, what is the effect of website form design and form position in SEO ranking? Forms don't play a special role in ranking. It's content like any other content, and as such, the visual design doesn't matter so much. But where you place it on the site might give Google an idea of the importance of the content for you. If you are using overlays for your forms, be aware that this might have an impact on user experience on your site.
Would de-indexing and aggregating 8 million used products into 2 million unique indexable product pages help improve crawlability and indexability with regards to discovered, currently not indexed? It's impossible to say. I'd recommend reviewing the Large Sites Guide to Crawl Budget in our documentation. For large sites, sometimes crawling more is limited by how your website can handle more crawling. In most cases, though, it's more about overall website quality. Are you significantly improving the overall quality of your website by going from 8 million pages to 2 million pages? Unless you focus on improving the actual quality, it's easy to just spend a lot of time reducing the number of indexable pages, but not actually making the website better, and that wouldn't improve things for search.
Danielle Ross is asking, should a global company use the .ai domain as their GTLD, or is it considered by Google as a ccTLD for the country of Anguilla? Timely question. As of early June 2023, we treat .ai as a GTLD in Google search, so yeah, you can use it for your global presence.
Ganshayam asks, and I hope I got your name right. Sorry if not. I want to clear all not found 404 errors in Search Console. Well, unfortunately, there's no setting to clear out old errors shown in Search Console. These are collected and updated automatically over time as we crawl your website. Also, 404 errors are not a problem. It's expected that all websites return 404 for pages which do not exist. That is actually a good thing.
Someone's asking, we need your professional advice with our website ranking. Can we have a meeting on this? Let us know what time and date that will be convenient for you. Well, first, thank you for wanting to meet us, but no, the search team doesn't offer private help meetings for any reason. You will have to follow the same path that everyone else takes. If you want to know what that path is, check out our documentation at developers.google.com/search/help.
How to request indexing of my recent publication in a top journal on Google Scholar. I do not have my own website. I am just a PhD student, and they link to an author profile page that they have there. This is something that comes up from time to time. I looked at the URL that you specified. Confusingly, the same content is available on a number of URLs, and we indexed one of the other versions instead. One way to find this is to open the page, copy some text from it, and to search for that text rather than the URL. Also, make sure that the page is accessible to users who aren't logged in. In any case, I bookmarked your paper on social companionship with conversational agents and am curious to read through it.
Philip is asking, do best practices for redirects apply the same for PDF URLs, video URLs, and image URLs, the same as if it was a web page URL? Yes. Other file types, including binary files like videos and PDFs, can be redirected the same way you would redirect web pages.
Toby asks, if Hreflang tags are correctly implemented, but only on a section of our website, for example, just the European folders, would they still be used as an international targeting signal? Hreflang is done on a per-page basis, so it's fine if just a part of your website uses them. I would, however, double-check that seeing the wrong pages in search is actually a problem before spending a lot of time implementing Hreflang. Also, keep in mind that you can implement Hreflang with a sitemap file too. In other words, if you can't edit the pages themselves, you could still specify Hreflang annotations for them. Check out our documentation for more. And that was it for this episode. I hope you found the questions and answers useful. If there's anything you submitted which didn't get covered here, I'd recommend posting in the Search Central help community. There are lots of passionate experts active there who can help you to narrow things down. And, of course, if there's more on your mind, please submit those questions with the form link below. Your questions here are useful to us and to those who catch up on these recordings, so please keep them coming. If you have general feedback about these episodes, let us know in the comments or ping us on social media. In the meantime, may your site's traffic go up and your crawl errors go down. Thank you, and see you soon. Bye!